What I like to say is part of responding to God's call is realize when God is talking. Billy Graham was speaking, and he said, "What are you holding back from serving the Lord overseas? What are you holding on to?" And just like that, the Lord spoke to me and he said, "Bob, you're holding back your family." And earlier that year, our youngest son had had a very successful heart operation. In fact, they said it was one of the most successful of the type that they did. And we were enjoying where we were living in San Bernardino, California. So I was really shocked this really took me by surprise, but God said, "You're holding back your family." And so I, in a time of prayer, said, "God, you can have me, you can have my family. We'll do whatever you want." And when I got back to my wife, I said, "I don't know when or where or how, but I think God has got plans for us to serve internationally." And my wife, being very practical, said, "Well, I don't feel that way at all, and I don't want to discuss it." And I said, "That's fine." I said, "If God wants us to do it, I'm sure He will make it clear to both of us." I returned to work, and my boss said, "We were praying, and the Lord put your name on our hearts. Bob, we would like you to consider going to Africa to be in charge of the Agape movement in Africa." And I said, "When were you praying about this?" And it turned out they were praying about it about the same time that Billy Graham was talking about it in Urbana. So I did not say anything to Sandra about what was said to me earlier in the week. We went to this conference which said, "If you are willing to go anywhere God wants you to go and do anything He wants you to do, I want you to stand up where you are." And I just felt like God was saying, "Bob, stand up." And so I did. And a few moments later, Sandra stood up, which actually shocked me. And all I said was, "Well, are you ready to go?" And her response is, "Where?" And I said, "They want us to go to Nairobi, Kenya." And she said, "Okay." And this was like we had just had our conversation less than 2 weeks earlier. And so in those 2 weeks or whatever had happened, God had changed her heart. And 17 days later, we were in training to go to Africa, to do a 3-year tour of duty in Nairobi, Kenya, and we stayed for 11 years. So I would encourage you that if you're hearing the still small voice of God calling you to do something, that you should examine your heart and to make sure you're not holding anything back from the Lord. I thought I had given all of myself to the Lord, but then I realized I was keeping my family for myself. But I knew that if we were following His call, that we were safe and that He would care for us. And He did.